In 1987, something strange rolled off a Japanese assembly line. It looked like a farm truck. Boxy, heavy, built like a steel brick. The kind of machine designed to survive deserts, mud, and war zones. But inside, there was a refrigerator, not just a cooler, a real refrigerator that could make ice, soft velour seats, analog adventure gauges, even windshield wipers for the headlights. It was a strange contradiction. A brutal off-road machine with the comforts of a luxury apartment. This vehicle was a legendary Nissan Patrol Y60, and it wasn't just another SUV. It was a machine built around a radical idea. What if a vehicle could be indestructible and luxurious at the same time? To understand why Nissan built something so unusual, we have to go back to the off-road world of the 1980s. In the mid-1980s, if you wanted a vehicle capable of crossing continents, you had to make a brutal compromise. Comfort or durability. You could not have both. The kings of the off-road world were machines like the Toyota Land Cruiser 60 series and the older Nissan Patrol Y60. They were legendary for one reason. They were almost impossible to break, but driving them was exhausting. These vehicles relied on a suspension system that dated back to the era of horse carts, leaf springs, thick stacks of steel plates bolted together under the chassis. They were incredibly strong, but they had a serious flaw. As the metal plates slid against each other, they created friction. That friction meant every crack in the road, every bump, every ripple in gravel was transmitted directly into the frame. Driving these trucks wasn't relaxing. It was a physical experience. Long road trips meant constant vibration, road noise, and endless steering corrections. After a few hours, drivers were completely exhausted, and off-road, things could be even worse. Leaf springs were strong, but they were stiff. When one wheel climbed over a rock or dropped into a rut, the axle couldn't twist very far, which meant something bad happened. One of the wheels would lift off the ground, and when a wheel is in the air, it has zero traction. Drivers had only one solution: momentum. They would charge at obstacles with speed, hoping brute force would carry the truck through. It worked, but it punished the vehicle, and it was dangerous. Still, manufacturers kept building trucks this way because durability mattered more than comfort. But during the 1980s, something began to change. The buyers of these vehicles were changing. It was no longer just farmers, miners, or geologists. Now families wanted four-wheel drives. People wanted to leave the city, explore mountains, cross deserts, and disappear into the wilderness for the weekend. But the vehicles hadn't evolved. Manufacturers added chrome grills, fancy decals, maybe a bit of carpet, but underneath, they were still agricultural machines. The market was waiting for something new, a vehicle that could handle a daily commute and a desert expedition without punishing the driver. And inside Nissan's design studios, engineers believed they had the answer. In November 1987, Nissan unveiled something radical, the Nissan Patrol Y60, and it broke one of the oldest rules of off-road engineering. Nissan eliminated leaf springs entirely. Instead, they installed coil springs on all four wheels. It was the first heavy-duty Japanese off-road vehicle to do it, and the difference was dramatic. Unlike leaf springs, coil springs have almost no internal friction. They compress smoothly. They respond instantly to small bumps. Where older trucks crashed over rough roads, the Patrol floated. Drivers who tested it described the feeling as almost unreal. Corrugated dirt roads that normally rattled your teeth suddenly felt smooth. But installing coil springs created a new challenge. Because coil springs do one thing only: they support weight. They don't hold the axle in place. So Nissan engineers built something far more sophisticated. To control the axles, the Patrol used a complex system of control arms. The rear suspension featured a 5-link live axle design. For massive arms, control movement forward and backward. A pan-hard rod kept the axle centered. The result? The axle could twist dramatically without losing stability. This unlocked a new level of off-road capability. When other trucks lifted wheels off the ground, the Patrol kept its tires planted. And in off-roading, traction is everything. The Patrol maintained contact with the earth in places where its rivals simply ran out of suspension travel. But the engineering changes didn't stop there. To improve stability, Nissan widened the vehicle's track. The Patrol became broad-shouldered and planted, with flared fenders and a wide stance. It looked unstoppable, but the wider body also allowed something else, a much larger interior. And Nissan was about to fill that interior with some of the strangest luxury features ever installed in an off-road vehicle. In Japan, the Patrol was sold under a different name, the Nissan Safari, and it arrived during Japan's economic bubble, a time when engineers were given enormous freedom, budgets were generous, and the goal wasn't to build something cheap. It was to build something extraordinary. One feature in particular became legendary. The center console contained a fully integrated refrigerator, not a cooler, not a vent blowing cold air, a real refrigerator, connected directly to the vehicle's air conditioning system. It could even make ice. Imagine driving through the Sahara, opening the console, and dropping ice cubes into a glass of water. It was absurd, but it perfectly captured Nissan philosophy. Civilization didn't have to end where the pavement stopped. Another unusual feature sat on top of the dashboard, an adventure instrument cluster. It included 2 analog gauges, an altimeter and an inclinometer. The inclinometer measured the vehicle's pitch and roll angle. As the truck climbed steep hills, a floating needle slowly moved across the gauge. Unlike modern SUVs, there was no computer, no digital screen, just gravity and physics. Even when the owner was stuck in traffic, those gauges reminded them the vehicle was built for mountains and deserts. Modern SUVs rely heavily on computers. If a wheel slips, software reacts, brakes pulse, traction control intervenes. But the Patrol took a different approach. It gave the driver direct mechanical control. One lever inside the cabin could disconnect the rear stabilizer bar. This allowed the rear axle to move freely off-road. Another switch activated a vacuum-operated locking differential. Inside the axle housing, a steel collar locked both wheels together. No electronics, no delay, just pure mechanical traction. Both wheels turned at exactly the same speed, no matter how slippery the terrain. Perhaps the most extreme option available was the winch. Most modern winches are electric, but the Patrol offered something far more powerful, a PTO winch. PTO stands for power takeoff. Instead of an electric motor, this winch connected directly to the engine through a drive shaft. As long as the engine was running, the winch could pull all day without overheating. It was essentially industrial machinery, hidden inside a family vehicle, and it was powerful enough to tear the frame apart if misused. So Nissan added a mechanical fuse, a tiny brass shear pin. If the load became too extreme, the pin would snap, saving the vehicle from destruction. In Australia, something unusual happened. Government policies forced manufacturers to share models. As a result, the Patrol was sold in Ford dealerships as the Ford Maverick. Different badge, different grille, but underneath, it was the exact same machine. Today, enthusiasts know the secret. A Maverick is essentially a Patrol in disguise, often cheaper, but mechanically identical. In the early 1990s, technology began to change the automotive world. Electronics slowly entered the Patrol. Fuel injection replaced carburetors. Safety features increased. And by 1997, production of the Y60 ended. But the story didn't end there, because this machine was too strong to disappear. In the deserts of the Middle East, the Patrol found a second life. Enthusiasts began modifying them for extreme performance. Some produced 4 times the original horsepower. They climb enormous sand dunes in places like the Liwa Desert. Meanwhile, in Australia, the Patrol became the ultimate long-distance touring vehicle. Families used them to cross entire continents. They survived because they were built with enormous safety margins. Heavier, stronger, more durable than modern SUVs. Today, the Nissan Patrol Y60 represents something the modern automotive world rarely creates anymore. A machine built during a time when engineers had the final say. A vehicle designed to be repaired, rebuilt, and kept alive for decades. Its luxury wasn't defined by touch screens or software updates. It was defined by something far simpler: reliability, the ability to go anywhere and come back. And that kind of mechanical honesty may never exist again. If you enjoy stories about legendary machines lost to time, consider subscribing, because some of the greatest vehicles ever built are the ones the world almost forgot.